I had no football friends. Like it was truly just me going to a Hy-Vee, which is a regional grocery store that also has like restaurants, and I would just go there and I would make them turn on the match, and I'd sit at the bar and watch the TV and eat my food, and I would drink, and because it's noon, it's two there, and I wanted. I had no community, so I wanted to feel like I was belonging. So I would be watching the TV and I'm yelling and I'm screaming, surrounded by all these like old Iowans. Like they're just like, what is this dude doing? And so like I'm showing up in my scarf and and this, and I'm just like, come on! And I'm eating my eggs and breakfast and drinking a Jameson coffee, and that was just what. And then the match would get done, whether they won or lost. That was irrelevant. I'd go do some grocery shopping and then go home.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're back. We're back again, episode 60, 60.
Actually, babe.
Damn, it's been crazy. It's episode 60 of the Box to Box podcast. We're live now. We have another special guest for you guys to tune into, another fan story to jump into on this pod today. We're going to get into all of it. But before we do, guys, if you don't know who I am, my name is Jose Tejas. I'm the primary host of the show. And if you haven't done so already, smash that sub button down below. Like the video, helps get the word out regarding these episodes, regarding the guests on our show, and just looking to hopefully meet as many fans in the community as humanly possible. All right, so do that now. Outside of that, as I mentioned before, got a great guest on our show for today for episode 60. He goes by Crunk Chocolate. He's a massive Manchester City fan. He's got his own show, Shades of Blue, quickly growing here in the States. He's a Manchester City fan, so me being an Arsenal guy, you guys already know we probably had way more to talk about this past season, but we'll jump into all of it. It's been a crazy year. Crunk Chocolate, my man, how are you today?
I am. See, I was trying to debate how I was gonna go at that. I was gonna be like, what do I want to say? I'm feeling like a treble today and be rude, or am I gonna say, no, it's great, thank you for having me on, I'm happy to be here? Do I do the gracious host thing? See, like I don't know. So I will just say thank you for having me here. I just try to ignore the first thing that I said, like we're positivity.
We're positivity. Yeah, absolutely,
yes,
bro.
yes.
Absolutely. And look, we'll put the treble thing to the side for a second. All right. Premier League winner. I get it. It's right now, if you're a City fan anywhere in the world, times are good. If you're like myself as an Arsenal fan, good season, but we've obviously had better years. So, man, with all of the banter aside, I'm so glad that you're here, dude. We've been talking about doing some kind of collab together for a little while now, whether it's you being on this show or me coming on to Shades of Blue. I think it's an interesting time, right? We're recording in summer, late June. The transfer window's about to open up. There's a lot of just content opportunities this summer. So a lot to talk about, but as it pertains to this episode specifically with Box to Box, we're definitely going to jump more into your story, into what makes you Crunk Chocolate, why you wanted to start Shades of Blue, why support Manchester City of all the clubs that you could support, right? All of those things. We'll jump into all of it. And maybe, who knows, maybe it'll give some context into why, I think what I'm more curious about, why stateside American fans are jumping on the Manchester City bandwagon in droves, right? I think whenever City walked away with not just the Premier League title, but the treble, I think we all saw it, man. You can't really kind of undermine how big the fan base is really becoming. But before we get into all of that, and I think this kind of ties back into that intro I just gave you, let's dive a little bit deeper into maybe who you are as a person or as a creator. Crunk, who are you today?
Man, who am I today? Today, I just feel like a guy, honestly. Yeah, I feel pretty chill. It's Monday. I haven't even touched my list of things to do. I'm feeling pretty average, but I had lots of fun last night with some friends at a bonfire barbecue thing. So I took it very slow this morning. So yeah, I'm just feeling like a guy today, just normal human being.
I love that. A little recovery Monday on the books. Yes, I love that, man. I love that. Sunday fun day too, it sounds like. Yeah, bro, that's awesome. And look, man, we're kind of in the off season, right? This is the time for those things. There's obviously a lot of soccer being played right now, internationally speaking. But with that said, there's so much that we can talk about today. let's start the way we typically start on this show. I like the idea of jumping right into, now that we kind of talked about you being just a City fan, that's what most people kind of know you for in this day and age. If you go look at your Twitter profile today, it's all Manchester City all the time. But I think that this is probably a unique opportunity for you as a creator to dive a little bit deeper into how you got to where you are, right? The earliest memories you have of the beautiful game. I'm really curious. Me personally, I was brought into this game by family. I played competitively growing up. I almost had like the player's journey, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I think everybody, every story we had on the show has been completely different. What's yours been like? What are the earliest memories you have of soccer? When were you brought in, and who were some of the biggest influences?
So I actually, it's two-way story. I became a City fan thanks to Robinho and FIFA 2001. I was flipping through all of the divisions and teams, and I was trying to figure out who I wanted to play with. I love doing career mode, and I love taking a team in a lower league and moving them up and taking out all the big guys because, like, I hated United just because they were always the prevalent thing. Like I really wasn't even too big in soccer, but just all the movies, all the TV shows, it was just like I knew to not like them. I'm also a Cardinals fan, so like I don't like the Yankees, and it just gave me big Yankees energy.
I feel that. I
feel
that.
And so that's how I became a City fan. Was I bumped into them on FIFA, and I was just like, wait, there's another team in Manchester and it's sky blue. I love that color. Because I'm like 11, 10, 11, 12. So like, that's how you make connections. It's like colors and stuff. The badge was cool, the sky blue. And then, Robinho, Torre, like obviously those were a little, Robinho was like the thing because I really loved the way that he played. I was a big dude. I wasn't like a small guy. So just this little dude being able to take on people with the ball like amazed me. But I actually played rugby growing up from when I was like 8th grade till I was about 23. I played rugby, and near the end of my rugby, that was when I started picking up soccer more and more. But early
on, how old were you when you think you started migrating from rugby to soccer?
It was probably about 2021. That was when I started like appreciating both sports, because when I first started off, I was just like joining the rugby culture, and it was just like they were like, soccer, it's for wimps. So it was just like, I was like, yeah, soccer's for wimps. And I just never really went with it. And you get older, you start watching your own things, and you're just like, oh no, this stuff is crazy. This is great. And I was just like appreciating sport more and more. And then when I had ACL surgery, and so the recovery for that, I had more time on my hands. So that's when I really like watched, Division III rugby. Sometimes you just get hit the wrong way because people don't care and the refs aren't great. So, but yeah, that's when I really took it in. And then once they got Robinho, that was like, that was actually on the front page of my Eastern Iowa sports section. Like that's how big of a story it was, or maybe it was like a small of a story for the time. But that at that moment, that was like a record transfer for City, and I was just like, Robinho's there now. I'm all in. And then when I really looked at the team, and a lot of the team looked a lot like me, and I was just like, that's really cool. And I've kind of just been 1,000% all in on the team. And then I was always like, young and broke. So I'm actually wearing the first kit that I actually bought for myself. And I've like beat it up and washed it a million times. And I would wear it every single week for like 2 years until I could buy my next shirt. So this it's a company shirt. That was my boy. That was my man.
Bro, I love that, man. I love that. The old badge, you can see it right now for anybody who's tuning in on YouTube versus Spotify. Like you can see the old City badge still on there. Nike kits were like a thing of yesteryear for City. Right. I remember that, back then when it wasn't just Robinho. Robinho started this like wave, right? I remember thinking, why would a guy at the time, right, a winger this big in the world, move to Manchester City? And then you see the likes of, Adebayor come over, Yaya Toure being me being a Barca fan, after him winning what he won with Barcelona and then moving over to
I
Manchester
don't know.
City,
That
I
was
always
crazy.
thought that was kind of interesting.
That was crazy.
And you know, it blows my mind what City's been able to build since those early years in the 2000s, right? Where now, fast forward to where we are today, City. I'm not going to go as far as like I don't live in the UK. I know Manchester United has been the club for a long, long time. Arguably, in terms of revenue, they may still be the biggest club in terms of brand. But man, to see all the accolades just shift from United to City in what, a decade and a half,
Yeah.
it's just been wild. What's
What a
it been
ride.
like from your perspective, man? From going from that to where we are today, describe the journey for anybody who's maybe jumped on after the first or second Premier League title.
I remember, what was it? The 30 Pellegrini. I remember like our first Champions League match. Like, I don't even remember exactly who it was. It might have been like Lyon or something like that. But
Yeah.
I remember just City getting to the Champions League, and I was just excited to be able to play like Barcelona and Real Madrid, and like this be a real thing instead of just FIFA. Like I was actually able to watch the team that I love, and I was just happy to be there. And now this year, like fast forwarding to this, like last year for the pod, I forced us all to give some kind of hot take, just for the sake of potting. And I said we were going to win every trophy that was available for us, and we practically did. And so I I said that out of like craziness, but I also did leave that like, and that's kind of what I wanted us to all say. I said, whatever inkling you believe in, go all in on it. And it's just like, I think we could, especially with the 50, because that's a lot of, how City were. It was a lot of 50-50 moments. All they have to do was just hit the ball past Ederson, like, and enter, like, so many chances. Like, Ederson was fantastic. Like, it's all margins, and that's what football is. And the winners look like the greatest people ever. And we won the treble, and you sound fantastic, but you talk to all the players and they're just like, I played like shit. And it's after the moment, you don't really think about in the moment how we got there. It doesn't matter though. We're here now, trebles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
You're
just
here. You're here now, bro. You're here now, bro. And you're right. I think I had a mentor of mine years ago tell me that this game is a game of moments. It is. Like when people talk about, um, Kyle Walker, for example, right, being as much of a shutdown outside back as he is because of his speed, his athleticism. And I think that what we remember isn't the entire match Kyle Walker had against, let's say, Real Madrid in the semifinals of the Champions League. It wasn't every single moment that he had against Vinicius Jr. It was a singular moment that defined him, right? Vinny may have gotten the best of him, but his ability to backtrack and win the ball back and prevent a shot from happening. It's those individual moments that I think win you a title or move you on to the next round. And I think, for City fans, I think they will wholeheartedly agree. And plus, I mean, if there was a bet to make on City winning every trophy available, that is always possible with coaches like Pep Guardiola. I think me being a Barca fan, he has a very near and dear place in my heart.
yeah.
I will always, maybe a hot take for this pod, maybe not. I consider him the best manager of all time. United fans can say Sir Alex all they want. I think as a man manager, maybe, but as a tactician, I don't think there's ever been a manager better than Pep Guardiola.
His teams were playing plumbers. What are we doing?
I love it, bro. I love it. I think United fans are going to appreciate that too. But I think with all that said, man, you got a hell of a journey, and it's crazy to hear that FIFA was like a massive, as a video game, right? A cultural icon for so many soccer fans, really a bridge, I think, culturally for so many fans to get into this game, right? It's how a lot of us learned about who these players were, where they came from, what teams they started off with before they made these massive moves to the Premier League or whatever it may have been. Is there, I don't know, when you're playing career mode's actually a great way to learn about all that stuff, right? Because like you're actually in the business of it all, you're doing everything. So when did you start kind of picking up FIFA as a video game? And I mean, how impactful really was it for you as a fan to go all in on this sport?
So it was actually funny. I wasn't. I would play FIFA with friends,
Yeah.
but I really wasn't that big of a I love being out there and like playing. And so around that time, I was still a couple of years later. That's when I got into rugby. So I was like all into rugby. So I had like the crappy rugby video games. There are a few rugby video games out there. They're all not the best, but
Sure.
it was nice that they tried, you know. So I did a lot of that, and it was a lot of throwing because we we were actually the like Iowa State champs for like 3 years running or something like that.
Nice.
We like moved over to Illinois to make it competitive and type of vibes, and
Nice.
no, it was fun. And I played 15s, not sevens, so I played real rugby, second
Yeah.
row baby. We out here. Um, but yeah, no, FIFA. It was a fun game. I played it for like maybe from like 2012 maybe to 15, maybe 16. But that was when they just really were like ultimate team, give me your money, and I
Yeah.
just really
It really
didn't
started
like
ramping up.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really just wanted to play career mode. Like I'm a simple dude. Like I'm not great at it. I will play friends when they come over, and it's like talking crap to each other type of thing. But I'm not online trying to play some people because I will get smoked, and that's not fun. Like I'm just here for vibes. It's a video game.
Yeah. No, I feel you, man. I feel you. And I kind of went to, so I went to a college that just, I mean, we had a great soccer team, but back when I went to school, it was, I entered in '09, entered college in '09. And like in Texas, like soccer was, it's still what was one of the primary markets for like youth development and whatnot, but it wasn't like, I played college ball. And I will say the only people that actually followed soccer were probably the soccer teams on campus, and that's it. Like
Mm.
everyone else, I mean, it's Texas, so like football, American football is a religion,
Yeah, yeah,
and like you just didn't really get too much conversation outside of that. And so people knew about FIFA, the video game, but we, like you, we used it as like a way to like kind of break the ice a little bit, or dorm in the dorms, roommates would play against each other all the time. We had
yeah.
like a dorm tournament, stuff like that. And then when we got older, towards like junior, senior year of college, like we were using it to like pregame before we go out to the bar or something like that, right? We would play shot FIFA, and like that was dangerous, right? Anytime you got scored on, you take a shot or something, and it was tough, man. FIFA was how we got ready to go out. You know what I
I
mean?
love that. I love
But yeah,
that.
that was outside of that though. It's like how a lot of my friends would find out about players. They'd be like, "Oh, dude, I remember seeing." It could have been anyone, man. Samir Nasri from City in the video game, or from Arsenal in the video game. I remember seeing him, and now he's on the field. That's kind of crazy. I love hearing stories like that, because to me, there's got to be something that teaches this new generation of fans what this sport's all about, where these players come from, and I think that FIFA, or what's going to be called now, EA Sports FC, whatever
Yeah.
the title's going to be, I think it has that unique opportunity to do it. And I think that your story is kind of proof of that, right? It was a big kind of beacon of change for you in terms of what you followed.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that. So let's fast forward a little bit, man. Moving into now, you've migrated over to soccer a little bit in terms of fandom. You're playing FIFA. You're meeting, I'm sure, friends through soccer in some form or capacity. Where does the, I don't know, the inspiration to create content kind of come from? Because at some point, right, you have to feel really good about your knowledge, your fandom. Maybe you're meeting other Manchester City fans. Like, at what stage does it go, like, you know what? I want to turn on the camera. I want to put my opinions on the internet and just see how big we can make this thing.
So actually, I had no football friends. Like it was truly just me going to a Hy-Vee, which is a regional grocery store that also has like restaurants, and I would
Mm-hmm.
just go there and I would make them turn on the match, and I'd sit at the bar and watch the TV and eat my food, and I would drink, and because it's noon, it's two there, and I wanted I had no community. So I wanted to feel like I was belonging. So I would be watching the TV and I'm yelling and I'm screaming, surrounded by all these like old Iowans. Like they're just like, what is this dude doing? And so like I'm showing up in my scarf and and this, and I'm just like, come on. And I'm eating my eggs and breakfast and drinking a Jameson coffee. And that was just what, and then, the match would get done, whether they won or lost, that was irrelevant. I'd go do some grocery shopping and then go home. It was like,
A ritual.
exactly. And it was just like and that's really what made me like love City, is because it was me and them. And I was trying to connect. I had nobody else. And even when I like hopped on city Twitter, I wasn't anybody. Like I'm still not. I guess I'm more prevalent now than I ever was, but I still like. I was maybe a year or two into it. I had no idea that it actually existed. I never really thought about like people loving the sport so much that they talked about it that like that. I don't know. It was just like something about I was using Twitter, but I wasn't using Twitter. Like I was just
Yeah.
like on it because again, it's this area. So I really kind of just used it as like a place to just get my thoughts out because nobody from where I lived used Twitter. So it was just kind of a way to complain about the world without anybody knowing. Uh,
Yeah.
but I did a weekly news podcast, and that was called Stuck in the Middle. And had there was like three of us, and then there was just two of us, and then it was just me for a couple of years, and I just got tired of talking about the news. It just got more and more sad and more crazy,
I
and
know, man.
I enjoyed the doing shows and podcasting. But don't call me a podcaster. I hate that. But I would do the shows, and I knew I still wanted to do something, and I was like, city. I want to talk about city, but I'm not like the most knowledgeable. I know what I see. I know I can convey. I definitely know I can produce a show. So let's get a bunch of people. And I listened to city podcasts for years, like most city fans. And there was just like a very wide open lane that I saw, and nobody really seemed interested. And so I just tweeted out. Luckily, shout outs to Man City US. I've been able to befriend them, those fantastic humans, and they boosted my tweet. And I did interviews. I interviewed like 12, 10, 12, 14, some stupid amount of people. And most of them were like awful. Like 75% of them were really bad. And the best were Tom Baum, Tarek, Danielle, and Sharpie Charlie. Then those are the people who were on, and it was like Wednesday, Thursday for the interviews, and we were recording on Sunday. Like it was just like let's just dive in. We'll
Man,
learn about each other there.
yeah, that's crazy, bro. So you were already creating content. You knew you loved the process of it, which I think is the most important part, right? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how much you have a passion for something outside of your day to day, right? Like Manchester City, for example. If you don't like the process of creating content, you're never going to follow through with it, right? I think that you love doing that. You had that show, and then you just transitioned all of that passion into the club that you love, and now you're doing this Shades of Blue. How many episodes are you guys now into your show?
So, so actual Shades of Blue episodes. We just had our 62nd, but we've done sub series. Like I do Represent, where this is the second season of that, where I interview fans of different clubs. And last year I just did the Premier League top 10. And then this year I'm just doing anybody. So I've done interviews with people from fans of La Liga, Bundesliga, MLS, the WSL, NWSL also.
Yeah.
So like I'm just trying to do variety. Just trying to make those connections, build the network, professionalism. That's like a big thing that's a coded word that gets thrown at people who look like me a lot. So, just trying to cover a basis and, just show people that we aren't just like we're a fan, are a fan show. Obviously we're fans,
Yep.
but like aren't Micah Richards, aren't all these people in front of the television talking about it, aren't they also fans? It's just there's this like box that people have to like consistently put the people's content that they absorb into.
Fan made
And
content. Yeah.
yeah, and so it's just like, sure, do I need to buy like a better camera? Like, we'll do the things that we need to get the level of professionalism and stuff like that. But even then, will that still matter? People will just be like, no, it just looks real nice. So it's this mixture of, trying to prove yourself, but also be true to yourself. And so that's really, now that we're going into our third season, we're really trying to figure it out. That's like our big question for our show right now.
I think, in all honesty, man, from my perspective, I don't think you need all that fancy stuff. I think it helps, right? Like the quality of the
Mhm.
content in terms of what you're viewing on your
Oh yeah, for
screen,
sure.
it gets a little bit better. But I like it more when I feel like I'm listening to actual fans, right?
Hmm.
It's not just, and this is where I think shows like yours massively important, especially for the stateside fan who's just now getting into this game. Not to knock, when you see content segments from former players like Micah Richards, right? You see former players and pundits. If you're a United fan, you see Gary Neville doing his thing. If you're a Liverpool fan, you see Jamie Carragher doing his thing. I think that for fans of our generation, right, millennials and above, that's super important because we grew up watching those players and now they're pundits, and so there's an emotional attachment there.
Hmm.
But for Gen Z and beyond, they didn't, right? I'm a firm believer that this wave of, what are they calling it, new media, um, where these independent content creators are popping up out of the woodwork everywhere. I think in 5 to 10 years, this wave of new media will be right there alongside legacy media in terms of value, in terms of entertainment value. I think that Gen Z and beyond appreciates pundits to an extent, but they want to receive all of their content from actual fans. I believe that the average 19, 20-year old footy fan today, especially one who's into things like gaming, or watches their content on Twitch or YouTube, they would rather go to Twitch and listen to Castro 1021 talk about Manchester United than to listen to, no offense to Craig Burley, Ali Moreno, and the crew at ESPN FC, but they'd rather listen to an independent content creator on Twitch who's a massive United fan than listen to, a pundit try to toe the line, try to offer some unbiased take, but in
That's
all
it.
fairness, it doesn't even feel like it's genuine.
Yeah.
I think that independent content creators are going to hold some massive weight in years' time. It's just a matter of getting to that point. So I think that what you guys are doing at Shades of Blue, being a very niche down Manchester City pod, and all the content you're creating outside of that to bring visibility to other creators in the space, dude, it may seem like it's all small potatoes right now, but at some point, this is going to be a wave that everybody wants to jump on. And that includes legacy media. I think that we see it now, right? Alexis from the Cooligans being on Paramount Plus with the CBS Golazo network. Like
Hmm.
those types of moves are only going to become more prevalent as the years go on. So,
Hmm.
so man, I think you guys are doing things right, 100%.
Well, and also, like, I don't even want to try to like make it sound like I'm trying to minimize what we're even doing, because
Yeah,
I actually wanted to do the opposite. I want people to understand the gravity of what we're doing, because
yeah,
if you look at our catalog, we've done Friday night live shows. We now work with FanFest Live, and we do kickoff shows, pre-match shows for the men and the women. We've done uh, live watch-alongs for the men, for the women. We've collaborated with other podcasts. Shout out to Shea Butter FC. Like, we work with so many people. I write for Bitter and Blue. Like, there's so much that we do. There's so much, like, we are the only real city pod that talks about the men and the women
yep,
and the developmental. Like, we are the only. And like, there's a city women's podcast, and shout out to them. We like love them. And then there's the men podcast, but there's nobody who does both. And then all those other people. I mean, and it's even just like the players who are now pundits. They technically only know how to, you know, communicate a certain way, because all they've watched are also like pundits. So they're trying to be like pundits and stuff like that. And
yeah.
then they also know these unwritten rules, and they're trying, like you said, they're trying to not appear biased, even though we all know that they have bias. And no, bro, like, I'm a City fan. I'm gonna, like, yes, just because I'm a City fan, though, I'm going to show respect to other teams. I'm going to show respect to the players. I don't need to be bombastic all the time. It's like a roller coaster.
Yep.
It's like a good song. You need to build. Sometimes, yes, it's fun to be crazy. Yes, it's fun to say crazy things. I call myself a heel. I love saying spicy things, but you also need to have that like understanding, that support. I don't like saying devil's advocate, because sometimes things just don't need the yes, but. Like I actually really hate that stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I don't know. I already lost where I was going,
No,
so I'll let
I
you
think at
go.
the end of the day, no, I think you're right. I'm not trying to minimize what you guys do either. I'm really kind of
Oh, and I
highlighting.
wasn't saying you were.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just saying that
Hmm.
yes,
No,
yes.
no,
No, you're great.
100%. I think it's just something that everyone should keep an eye on. I think fan made content. It feels like just a few years ago that nobody was really paying a ton of attention to it, and now you see. I don't. You just try to search for creators on YouTube. You'll see how many there really are. And I think there's
Mhm.
so many that still have yet to be discovered. So, especially here in the States, where soccer is technically a top four sport, as it continues to grow, as we start to pace towards the 2026 World Cup, I think that there's going to be, so much opportunity for those who are
Yeah.
already creating content while the sport is in its infancy on this side of the world. So yeah, man, I have massive respect for what you guys are choosing to focus on, how you're bringing this content to the masses here in the States. And look, at the end of the day, I imagine that as City continues to go, from God, I don't know, like almost like stretch to stretch in terms of success. I mean, I imagine your pod and your show and your content that you create is going to only continue to elevate and elevate. So,
Yeah.
let's talk about that too a little bit, right? As as fans of the game here, as content creators here in the States, we only get to experience this game from afar. If we're lucky, we get to maybe for small periods of time travel overseas to experience in person what those privileged fans in the UK or any other country abroad get to really experience on a consistent basis. But nonetheless, man, being a fan here stateside doesn't mean that you're not passionate. Doesn't mean that you're not allowed to bring that level of enthusiasm to your content, to your fandom. For those who are still wondering why an American fan, would support in a very adamant way a UK based club, is there any insight you could give to that skeptic out there, right? It's like, why would you support, why would you be a diehard fan of a Premier League team, but not like a Major League Soccer team or another league that's a little bit closer to home?
Personally, I don't know. I just like I said, it was just like FIFA is the thing that really got me into it. Even now, I mean, I try to watch MLS.
Yeah,
It's what I so I also I grew up in Iowa. We don't have any professional teams, but our college teams, like the
that's
Hawkeye
fair.
games. If you go to those games, the energy it's a lot. You like we love our teams, and I just want that energy for whatever I pay attention to.
Yep,
And whenever I look at MLS, there are teams, there are people, there are clubs who bring that energy, but overall, as an umbrella, I don't get that rah rah energy from them all the time, and I don't like
sure.
that. And yeah, and I don't know. I liked City, and I don't know. I'm trying because like even now I'm trying to hop in the Brasileiro and cheer on Bahia, who City. They're part of the City football group, and I'm trying to watch more football in general. And even with our
Sure.
show, we're transitioning to just we're gonna do start doing a Thursday show that's devoted like strictly to the world of football. So we're really pushing ourselves too. But it's I don't know. I just loved the Premier League. I loved the English. They love a celebration. They love making everything seem grand and feel big, and the matches just felt intense, and everything felt like it was like the end of the world after a match, even though there's 30 more matches. Like I just loved that energy, just all of it. That's what really got me. And I'm not necessarily saying that I'm not feeling that other whereas or other people can't feel that way about theirs. It's just like personally me, and that's how I don't like spread myself thin too much. I want to be able to be like all in, and
Yeah.
I
That's
can't do
fair,
that.
man. That's fair. Yeah. And look, I think some people will probably agree with you in terms of like, especially those who live in like those quote unquote flyover states, right? Where like you don't have a local club close to home. Maybe you have a USL club or something that you just haven't like, kind of tuned into. But for the most part, at the top of the soccer pyramid here in the States, you may not have like a local MLS club to call home. So then who do you support in those parts of the country? And I think, I'm almost curious, maybe you can shed some light on this too. Like I'm almost curious like how big football or soccer may even be in those parts of the country, right? I think you look at certain parts of the Midwest in general. St. Louis is calling itself the soccer capital of America. You
And
have,
they just got a team, which is crazy. It's like you just got a team. How can you do that?
yeah, you have Kansas City kind of also trying to vie for that title a little bit. I think it's interesting, right? I mean, do you feel like the sport itself is downplayed a little bit where you live versus some of the other markets?
Yeah, and like especially where the way that I feel. I mean, I'm watching the match on television, so technically watching on television, Chicago is just as far as Manchester. So I mean, it's and I'm always gonna, yeah, no, it's definitely not taking that serious, especially here. Like I have people where they'll be like, oh, you like soccer, and they'll try to tell me about it, and like I'll talk about City, and you always get the, oh, I've only known about United, and I'm like, yeah, I know. And then even the people who will be wearing like kits or like soccer stuff, like I was driving to visit my family down in Arkansas, and I like pulled into this random gas station, and this guy had this really nice Bayern like jacket on, and I was like, that's a real dope jacket. And he starts talking about it, and he's like, so who do you like? And I was like, Manchester City. And then he was just like, oh, oil money. But then he said he got the jacket when he was doing like a business in Bayern, so he's not really a Bayern fan. He just had heard these things about us. So he's just like, so it's just like it's this weird thing where you never know people's level of fandom. So usually I try to like not even talk about football too much if
Sure.
people ask me about it, unless I know their level. I'll maybe you just like I'm sure you do. There's like a few questions where you'll ask. I don't ask the like who's your favorite player or anything because you just say Messi and Ronaldo and people can just keep it moving type of vibe. So
Yeah.
you just kind of keep the conversation really simple and see how much they know, and then whether you go all in or not. But really, a lot of my I so all of the people I've been able to make friends around this area who like the Premier League and a few who like Man City, but it is because of Shades of Blue. It's not because I bumped into them somewhere. It's because they found out about Shades of Blue. I'm the admin for our social media. I would see that person in their bio has like Davenport, or they would tweet about Quad Cities, and I'd be like, excuse me, and then we would follow each other, and now I'm just like, so now I have like three people who are Man City fans in the Quad Cities that I never would have known about if I wouldn't have started Shades of Blue.
I love that, man. That's awesome. And I actually feel you 100% when it comes to like trying to explain like footy or soccer fandom to like someone, right? Trying to feel out how deep you can go into this conversation. I almost always start with like, oh, do you watch or who do you like to watch, right? And just kind of leave it very open ended like that. And yeah, if they give me like, oh, I've seen some of the stuff like Messi and Ronaldo do, that's pretty cool. Without them realizing those are probably like the two biggest players of all time. Then I'm like, okay, you know what, great. Like okay, that's how high level I need to keep this. Now, if they start going into the weeds, well, I watch the Prem. I like to watch these guys on Saturday, Sunday. I'm an MLS fan too. But I know that I could probably run a lot deeper with that conversation and really kind of have an actual tangible back and forth with that person. That's crazy when I talk to fans in the UK about like the state of the sport in this country. A lot of them still can't believe that at times you kind of have to peel the layers back. You have to kind of educate a little bit and be like, hey, the sport runs a lot deeper than just Messi and Ronaldo, and there's so many just superstars that you've never even heard of, and that's how early on we are in 2023 with the sport in this country. I think before we go into like some City and Arsenal stuff from this past season, because I do want to touch on that a little bit. I'm really curious for your opinion because here, I mean, we've talked about it before, not only here at Box to Box, but at GOLZtv in general. We're massive believers in that we're in the earliest days of this sport. We're on a mission to make soccer cool in America. But I think that we have a long way to go. The whole country does. I ask a variation of this in some form or fashion with every single guest that we have. In your opinion, as someone who's come into this sport a little bit later in your life, right? You weren't like me where you were just kind of brought into it at birth. What do you think it'll take to make football or soccer, however you say it, a top 3, a top 2 sport? What's it going to take for the sports fandom, whether you're a Major League Soccer fan, an English Premier League fan, a La Liga fan, a Bundesliga fan, whatever it may be? What's it going to take for there to be a true culture around this sport, the same way there's a culture around NBA or NFL in this country? Is it time? Is it the players that follow Messi to this league? Is it just more tours of the States from some of these leagues and teams abroad? Like, in your opinion, seeing it grow, what's it really going to take for it to make that next jump?
We need to see the people who are representing the U.S. on television speaking about football, soccer. They just need to be earnest. There's still so much they're like towing weird lines like that. Most people who listen to our listeners really are split in the middle between Americans and non-Americans.
Sure.
And our number one listeners, like our number one city is Manchester. Like that, like we love that. Like that is the coolest thing to us. And people that I know and that family, friends, what's your podcast? I'll give it a listen. And they're just like, not only does it sound like you guys have fun, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but also I don't feel stupid that I don't know what you guys are talking about. So I'm going to listen again. And I have friends who have been listening for a year now, and they'll just like pop up and they'll like talk to me about City. And because they listen to the pod and they know like general things, and if it's now popping up on their social media. And I think that's just kind of what it is. That's my long-winded answer is we just need to take it seriously. And when friends of ours try to make fun of it, kill that. If people around you try to like make fun of it, kill that stuff. Because if you make fun of basketball, if you make fun of American football in front of them, they'll lose their stuff. It's like if you make fun of their own thing, they will feel alienated. Stop letting people alienate you about your passion. Like you like it. And then the other thing is what I'm seeing a lot now is pop culture will help. Like Megan Thee Stallion, like her doing that announcement for the women's national team. Like we need more of that. Like there are so many people being like, wait, why? What's going on? Like that's what you need. You just need more of these cool people who you would never think. And it's just like it's culture. It's like Atlanta United when they came. Like so much of Atlanta hip hop goes to that game, goes to their matches, supports them because of the energy is there. And like especially people like Black people, we love pop and stance. We love cheering. We love that. So like if you bring like the average fan or the person who doesn't know anything, you're going to take them to that stuff. They're going to be like, oh, this is lit. This is energy. Like this. Yeah. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to stop trying to like sell people on the game and just show the game. Like put those mics in the stands, turn that stuff up. Like we need to hear the fans losing their minds. Like we need to like tell us all these stories, but like, I don't know, just keep doing what they're doing. But like, yeah, the average person needs to just put some more respect on football's name.
Yeah, and I know what you mean by like talking about the game in earnest, right? I mean, I my biggest gripe of legacy media is that sometimes you hear like pundits go out there and they don't know the game. Like they either get certain rules incorrect or which it's a nitpicky thing. But past that, right? They'll start bringing up certain bio or statistics regarding a player that are just horribly off. They don't know how to spell a player's name. They didn't know a player won this award. They didn't know a player played for this team. And it's like, sometimes you can tell it's just like they didn't want to do the homework or they didn't care enough to do it. And that's where I'll go back to what I said earlier. I feel like fans are the future of this game, not just for the growth of it from an attendance or from a viewership perspective, but even from like commentating and calling the game itself. I think that fans are going to be the future of it from a media perspective. And it's only a matter of time before we move some of these casters who do all the sports in America to focusing on pundits and commentators who genuinely know this game because they were fans first and they were put in a position to grow this game the best way they know how. So yeah, man, I wholeheartedly agree with you. And I think anybody if there's anybody still talking down soccer because it's not the NFL, or those people who make comparisons between the Super Bowl and like the Champions League final or the World Cup final. It's why can't we appreciate all of it? Like, who cares? Like, I still watch NBA playoffs when it comes around. I still watch the NFL season when it's in season. Like, you can appreciate multiple things. You don't have to shit on one over the other. It's just, like what you like. And I think dragging other fans for liking what they like just has never made sense to me. Like, it's fandom. You like what you like. I mean, it is what it is. I don't get the hate for it that comes out of nowhere because it's not the NFL or it's not the NBA. It's just you can appreciate multiple all at once.
Exactly. We are a complex creature, and why can't we just like a lot of things? We can multitask. We're always in this world, Messi
Yeah.
or Ronaldo, left or right, up or down.
We're gonna be sad when they both go. That's all that I know. That's all that I know. When they both retire and they both call it quits for sure. I mean, it's gonna feel like a different game all the way through, and that's what we should be focused on, right? Is more of that, less of who's the GOAT, who's better. I think depending on who you ask, it's gonna be a different answer anyway.
Plenty of other stories to talk about, and that's actually what gets me the most furious, actually, and what I complain about a lot is like the dumb questions Pep receives is just like
God.
Pep actually said it. He was like, how many years have we been doing this? And you don't know me. You don't like ask yourself the question and think what my answer would be. Like, can we ask better questions? Yeah, you're gonna be playing Arsenal. Saka, great player, huh?
Duh.
What do you want from that answer? Like, truly. And then if he just says yeah, then he's not nice. Like, bro, come on now.
Yeah, and then what do you want him to say? No, and just incite a whole flurry of questions that stem from that afterward, and then
And that
I
is
don't
what
know,
they
and
want,
then
though.
exactly right. They're waiting
Messi.
for the clickbait
Clickbait,
worthy answer to come through, and I don't know, man. I think that again, that could be where a lot of fans see media going, right? Having, like I said before, having hot takes just to have them, or bantering just to banter without there being any common sense or knowledge behind those takes. I think that it works to an extent for views and clicks, but at some point you lose a lot of legitimacy as a creator if that's all that you do is just kind of throw out these weird ass questions, these really weird takes or opinions on the game that just aren't founded in any sort of theory or logic. I don't know. I think it's you kind of toe an interesting line there, but. Anyway, man, look, I know we're kind of coming towards the tail end of this show. We can't have a City fan on this pod and not talk about the madness that was this season. I think as an Arsenal fan, it was an interesting season. I think in all honesty, man, this could be a hot take for any Arsenal fan who listens. It was a fantastic year. I would not trade this year for anything that we've had. Man, when's the last time we have felt this good as a fan base? Like in recent years, when's the last time we felt this good? I still remember the heartbreak from the season before, not qualifying for the Champions League, trying to make sense of how we bottled that whole situation, losing to teams like Newcastle when they were still on the cusp. They weren't anywhere close to where they were this past season. It felt like defeat in a very strong way. I think a lot of fans are spoiled in their own mind, and it created this scenario between City and Arsenal where we look like we're not appreciative, from my perspective, of the year that we truly had. But with that said, to be at the top of the league for 200 plus days and then not go on to win the league also equally shows how powerful City has become and how you can never write them off. It doesn't matter how much season's left. They're always, as long as Pep Guardiola's at the helm, they're always kind of in it. And damn, man, you can't help but be impressed, but it also just feels like if this season wasn't, if we could be at the top of the league for 200 plus days and not win it, what's it going to take for any team to get one over on this City squad while Pep's at the helm? I don't know, but as a City fan, how did it feel, man, to go through that roller coaster of a season, to hear the haters coming out of the woodwork saying that Haaland was overrated, that he made this City team worse, that Pep was eventually just going to leave because they weren't the same anymore, and then to flip it all around, do a U-turn after the World Cup, and go after basically every single trophy? How does it feel, man?
It feels great. But like you said, I'm a bad guy. So all of the like smack talk and everything. I'm not really the type to talk like back to people. Like I like they come at me and I just respond to their statement there. But I'm not really one to be like, this player on your team, they're trash. Blah, 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 like that. I don't want to do that. I just want to take your statement and dunk on you on your statement, or just ignore you because it's silly. But yeah, it's just been really nice. Pep always talks about focus on us. So that's kind of really what I try to do on our podcast. Like even at the beginning of the season when they're struggling, like we were trying to be like, all right, so who is the one struggling? Is it Kevin? Is it Grealish? Is it our defense? Why can't we seem to keep clean sheet? Like we look inward a lot. Like I believe our show, there's substance all over our show. Like you leave the show, I feel like a better football fan and a better City fan because we almost leave it with you thirsting for like more knowledge and wanting to like connect with us. And we're really big with Shady Gang and building our community. And like we truly, anybody who like fucks with us, we fuck with you 100%. Like that's just how like it is. There's no reason to think too much deep in it. Like we both like Man City. You support us. Like what more is there to like think into this? So it's just like it's been a great ride. Talking about the women's team has been so great because they're a fantastic team. We call them Baby Blue Baddies. That's our nickname for them. We have our own segment for them. Tom Baum, he hosts that segment. For the last like third of the season, we started our episodes with the women because for a chunk of like after the World Cup, they were the ones doing all the winning. So we wanted to start off the pod talking about fun light things and Yu Yasugawa and Bunny Shaw and Kemp and Hemp and all like just how our players, such great players, doing fantastic things. And then you had to talk about the men, and it's just like, oh, and they naturally obviously picked it up at the end of the season, and it's just been great building the community. So like we're US fans, yes, but like the Man City women supporters group in Manchester, like we're buddies. Like there's been this whole like connection with people in Manchester, Mancunians who are now in the US. They all are just like, we love you guys because we can feel your fandom. We like anybody who tries to like question my passion, I will fight you. Like, like that is how I feel about like I'm not here for no play. Like call me whatever you want to, whatever you need to. I don't really care. Like
I love that, bro. Yeah. Sincerely, I think do not ever apologize for defending your passion. I think no one should. I think you like who you like, and if you don't, we can agree or disagree. I think at the end of the day, it's like I think in this past season, it was like convenient to be an Arsenal fan, right? A lot of fans were coming out of the woodwork. But I will say this: it's also been because like the last half decade plus, we just haven't had that much to cheer about. Just really haven't. I mean, last season we kind of did after a terrible start, probably the worst start to a season Arsenal's had in like a decade. Like going down 0 points in 3 matches, 9 goals against us, 0 goals scored. Like we looked absolutely terrible. Kind of salvaged it, but then still bottled Champions League. That was the most positive season we had up to this point.
And then you look of all or nothing.
Yeah, it was crazy, right? It was insane. When you look behind the scenes, like, dude, there's so much emotion that went into that. And I think the fans felt it. From City's perspective, though, you have now the cream of the crop in terms of scenarios, right? You win just about every trophy. You're the second team now in the history of England to win that famous treble. How do you go up from here? Like what is there to get excited about, I guess, next season, right? If you do it all, this past season, whether you're Erling Haaland or just a normal, Manchester City fan, do you just try to run it back and like create a dynasty? Is that really what you get excited about for next season and beyond?
Well, first, we've won the Premier League 5 and 7 years. I call that a dynasty.
100%. But maybe Champions League dynasty, right?
No, but you're right.
Like, what do you do now?
That's what it is. So There's the Carabao we didn't win. We're now in the Club World Cup. Like there are things there's still an actual invincible season we can do.
Yeah, very
I
true.
think we could maybe I guess we won the Premier League with 3 matches to go, but I mean, I would like maybe to win the Premier League without as much stress. That would be nice. So I'm not, as a fan of any club, you want your team to win. In theory, everyone wants their club to win every trophy available. So like, that's just the note. I don't know. I just want to see the team play great. Like, sure, would I be upset if we don't win the Premier League? Of course. I don't want to watch anyone else win, but how we win. And like Pep, again, because all the only content, I don't listen to any other city podcasts. I say this on the pod all the time. I'm not really saying some like insult or whatever. It's just I don't want y'all ruining my mind. Like I want to be able to have my own thoughts, my own takes. I want to be able to say something and then be like, oh crap, this person said this. Do they think I'm saying that because I heard them say that? Like, I don't care about what you guys are saying. I mean, it's in the nicest way possible. Everyone is dope. But I listen to all of the like Pep pre and post matches and all the players pre post match interviews. All of my content, I'm taking it in from the players. So like my thoughts, everything, it's from what I'm seeing in the matches. It's from what I'm hearing from the players. So I feel like I have just as accurate of a take. And I honestly, if you listen to our pod, we are all actually very spot on a lot of the things that we say. And the only thing I feel like some of these podcasts in Manchester have on us is they're just in Manchester. Like I really think that sure we're not any in the nose, but I don't want to be in the nose because I hate gossiping. Like, and that's like a huge thing in football. It's just like gossiping. Like,
Thing.
are you 12? Like, I hate it. And so I'm here to talk about football. I'm also here to talk about culture. So like, those are the things. All that other stuff in between. Yes, I'll hop in. I'll do some double dutch. I'll talk some banter. Declan Rice, Kovacic, but then I'm out of there. And I'm here to talk with other football fans about the sport, about their fandom, like you're doing with me. I'm doing Represent right now. I've done like I think 16, 17 interviews with a bunch of different football fans about their football culture, very similar to this. So there's just so much more to football to talk about, especially now that we're in the off season for the Premier League, at least. Like, let's have some fun. Let's spread our wings. Let's like not be so intense. Like, like we don't have to like kill each other all the time.
I agree, bro. I wholeheartedly agree. I love the sentiment behind it too, man. I think that it's easy to forget, right? It's very easy to forget when there's so much to talk about at any given moment in time. But I think allowing people to form their own opinions the way that you do yours, allowing fans to just in a very free way express those opinions without indictment from the rest of the community. Because that's really kind of what it feels like on Twitter sometimes. Like people just shit on each other for the hell of it, and I just. Sometimes it's warranted, right? When it's a terrible take. At most of the time, though, it's just Twitter being Twitter. It's football Twitter being football Twitter. And I think at the end of the day, there's so much toxicity that can run rampant. I just like to appreciate fans for their own take. Let's see how true that take can kind of stay throughout the course of a season. For me, that's the fun part is a fan's ability to predict certain outcomes happening and how spot on they actually were. Before we go, I'm really excited about your boy joining Barcelona and Gundogan.
We were doing so well. We were doing so well.
I think I know a lot of City fans are not too happy about that move, but I look. I got a City fan here today. I can't let you walk away without giving me some kind of a take on that move. It's a free transfer after a treble-winning season. He was your captain at least for a short period of time. I don't know, man. I mean, do you feel any type of way towards Gundogan? I mean, for me, the man is class through and through. I'm so excited he's at Barcelona. I've said nothing but good things about him since he was at Dortmund. For me, it was a no-brainer for Pep to bring him to the Etihad. But now him going to Barca, do you feel like you're going to be able to fill that hole very easily, considering who City are and now the pool that you guys are slowly starting to kind of build up as a club? I mean, how are you feeling about that transfer in general?
Yeah. Okay. So from like strictly believe in Pep standpoint. It's just like, thank you for everything you've done. I truly love you, but we're gonna keep it moving. And
Yep.
but like me as a fan, as a supporter, like he was Pep's first transfer. He epitomized our team for the last couple of years. Just cool, calm, confident, just does his thing. He isn't showy. Like, he's a legend. Like, I love the man. Like, I'm just mad at myself for not getting a Gundogan shirt earlier.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
I am super happy to see him go. He has done like his letter to Manchester City in the Players Tribune. Like, I was laying in my bed at like 6:30 this morning, just feeling like, he's saying everything. He's like he didn't leave a stone unturned. He said hello, I love you to everyone, new, old, incoming, the fans, Pep. Like, it was just so thorough. It was just him again. Just class. He's a fantastic dude. I'm not happy that he chose Barca. I respect Barca. I respect what they've done. Obviously, without Barca, we wouldn't get the Pep that we have. But I'm not the biggest fan of them, and I think it's not necessarily Barca. It's how crazy your fans can be sometimes. They're
Oh
just
God,
like
I know. I
not
know.
nice people, and it makes me feel a way about your club. And so, like,
That's fair. That's fair, bro. I look, man. There's toxic fans everywhere. I think the bigger a club is, the more
yeah,
likely you're going to get that part of the fan
oh,
base that just comes out of the woodwork every time there's news. And I will say this. I mean, I think you've probably seen some of that dark side of Barcelona. It comes out in droves for El Clasico. Like for El Clasico between
oh,
Real Madrid and Barcelona,
yes,
that shit is like. I mean, I'll be honest. Even myself, man, I have like some of my best friends in the world, and someone who's actually a co-host for this show. At least half the time, Andre, he's a massive Real Madrid fan, and that week is like if there's ever a week where we're not friends, that's really it. It's like, dude, we're locked in for this. I'm here for
it
my
is
club,
what it is. Yeah.
and the toxic behavior hits like record highs during that week for both of us. I feel like my demon mode comes out, and I'm ready to go to battle for my badge, but look, I will say this for the move. I highly respect what Gundogan did at City. I think
Yeah.
the man is class. I think Pep knew what he was doing when he brought him in, and I think that he was only going to choose between City and Barca. I don't think he was going to choose anybody else. Like he was either going to stay or he was going to move to a project for a club as big as Barcelona and play under a midfielder that he respected growing up, which was Xavi. So and Xavi, you can argue, is trying to be Pep 2.0.
Truly, he
And
is. Yeah.
so, there's that aspect of it all too, right? Him being a culé, right? For anybody who I've heard some City fans even like ask that question, like, what is a culé? And I think at the end of the day, like it's well, for those who don't know the history of Barcelona, Barcelona has a crazy history. But in the beginning, in the earliest days of our stadium ever being built, it was so packed at the stadium that the fans would basically pile up to the very top, and then you had butts hanging over the top of the wall of the stadium. And so in Spanish, culé is literally your butt, your ass. And so a culé were like the fans who were piling into the stadium at the very top, showing their asses, letting them hang out over the stadium because they
That's
had
dope.
nowhere else to sit, but they just wanted to watch Barcelona play.
That's
That's what a culé is. It's carried on in our tradition and our history ever since then. And now, Gundo gets to really kind of say now he is a culé, and we're excited to have him, man. So I got a feeling we didn't get his best years. I think City probably got his best seasons out of him, but there's still probably 2 or 3 insane good years left, and I'm excited to see what he does.
that's exactly what he said. He said, I have at least 2 fantastic seasons, and I want to try to bring Barcelona back to where Man City are now. And it's one of those things. I wish you success, but not that much success, my dude. Like, you are over there in a different country. You have tons of titles and trophies you can win over there. You stay over there. But when it comes to the Champions League, I love you, my boy, but we're destroying you. I don't know what to tell
Yeah.
you. Same thing with like Zenny. When we see Zenny, when we see Gabby at Arsenal, oh, I love you. Hey, hugs. But we're destroying you, my guy. Like, it is what it is.
I love that, bro. I love that, man. The passion's there. Anybody here can see it, man. Anybody here can see it. So anybody, look, I think this was a fantastic episode. I think anybody who watched this can see that you bleed sky blue.
Yeah,
I think that, City are going nowhere. I think even when the Pep era ends at City, I'll be really curious to see who ends up kind of following that up and continue to build out the
company.
regime. Yeah. Yeah. I think Company is probably,
Mhm.
the almost a tailor-made leader for that team. And I
It
think if he
is.
keeps doing crazy shit at Burnley, I mean, if anything, it's just growing his stock, his
Mhm.
his rise in compensation, the years they lock him down for at City, all
Get
of that's going
paid.
to be on full display for the world to see. So, yeah, man, I think, man, it would almost feel like the best homecoming for any City fan to see him walk back in, taking that manager position off of Pep and saying, "Look, all right, boys, I'm here now. I'm here to grow this club and bring the passion." Not that in a way that Pep couldn't, but I do believe that. I think Pep at the end of the day is just a fantastic manager. He loves City, but he never represented the badge in a way that Company did. And so I think that that's going to take passion and fandom from the fans to a whole new level. But we'll see. We'll see over time.
Well,
Look,
one last thing
yeah,
before
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
go. I think what company can do at the city, it would be so much better than, maybe other Stevie G or Lampard did at, their own clubs. Because, I think company will be successful.
He
So
will.
yeah.
He will. I
Yeah.
think. I think he will. I think the difference that he has between guys like Stevie G and Lampard, probably more so Stevie G, is that he's already proven that in the English system and framework, he can be successful. He's already proven
Good
it.
point.
He's taken a
Good
team out of
point.
the championship into the Premier League at a time when Burnley wasn't even on the path to being promoted. And the most success Stevie G's ever seen is right, but been with Rangers. And Frank Lampard has really never seen any kind of success like that. So I think Company has much more to say. I think he's a true leader of men in a way that the other two, they kind of were, but more so through their playing ability as opposed to their leadership capabilities.
Yeah.
I think that there's going to be a lot to say when Company decides to make that move. And I think that he has more leverage. I think he may even choose. He may pick and choose when he comes to lead this club.
True.
So 2025, man, it's going to be a very, very telling year for City faithful. But we will see. Look, Crunk, I'm so glad you were here. I'm so glad that we did this show. It's been a long time coming. I'm really hoping that maybe I don't know, man. Maybe we could do a preview for what City season will look like in 2024, and what fans can expect in a year where you're coming off of a treble. There's going to be a lot of pressure to maybe deliver the same type of success that you guys saw this past season. So we'll see how it all pans out as we get closer to August. But look, man, can't thank you enough for being on the show. Thank you so much for anybody who tuned in to the very end of this episode.
Hey.
We appreciate you. If you haven't done so already, like the video down below, sub to the channel. And guys, go check out Shades of Blue. Whether you're a City fan or hell, a Prem fan, there's going to be takes that you guys can take away and build into your own fandom of the Premier League and just
Let's
football or
go.
soccer in general. Okay, so we're going to link everything Shades of Blue down below. Go check them out. Go follow them. There's a lot of solid content you guys haven't discovered. I promise you, go check them out. All right. And from everybody here at Box to Box, my name is Jose. That's Crunk Chocolate. We're going to see you guys next time. Take care.
Peace.